Hi, my name is Brittany Thompson, and today's lesson will be about social interaction according to Lev Vygotsky's theory. Lev Vygotsky was born in Russia on November 17th, 1896, and unfortunately, he died on June 11th, 1934, at the age of 37 due to the battle with TB. His work began when he was studying learning and development to improve his own teaching. He wrote on language, thought, psychology of art, learning and development, in educating students with special needs. His experience, together with his interest in literature and his work as a teacher, led him to recognize social interaction and language as two central factors in cognitive development. His theory became known as sociocultural theory of development. Sociocultural theory of development emphasizes the crucial influence that social interactions and language embedded within a cultural context have a cognitive development. So, pretty much, social interactions, cognitive development, and language, it pretty much goes hand in hand. Well, it all falls back to cognitive development. Vygotsky emphasized that effective learning happens through participation in social activities. Therefore, I think that it's very important, especially as teachers, that we incorporate collaborative strategies throughout our classrooms, even as early as the primary grade levels. I'm a first grade teacher, and especially this school year, after attending various professional development workshops, I developed a better collaborative environment within my students this year. And the students, they actually love it. It's very kid friendly. I model different collaborative strategies with them when we practice. And the students, they actually love it and they master that skill. So I think that's a very important factor in teaching as well. Parents, teachers, and other adults in learning and learners' environment all contribute to the process. They explain, model, assist, give directions, and provide feedback. So that is also another important factor after having students use different collaborative strategies inside of the classroom to give feedback to the students as well. Peers, on the other hand, cooperate and collaborate in rich and learning experience. For example, a child may be learning how to walk with the help of the parents. The parents hold both hands so the child doesn't have to focus on both the balance and moving their feet. Soon, the child will be able to walk and run by him or herself. Example number two, the father's knowledge of letters, structure, dates, salutation, body, etc., purpose, friendly, formal, and etc., conventional spelling and grammar. The child's knowledge of letters, mom and dad write and receive letters. Now, when we talk about language, language can be viewed as a verbal expression of culture. Every culture has the words it needs for its lifestyle. It opens the door for learners to acquire knowledge that others already have. It is used to know and understand the world and solve problems. It serves as a social function, but it also has an important individual function. Hi, my name is Brittany Thompson, and today I will be teaching a lesson about social interaction, according to Lev Vygotsky. All right, let's start off with a little background knowledge about Lev Vygotsky. He was called the Mozart of psychology. He was also born in 1896, the same year as Piaget, in a small town in Orsha. He was also born to a middle-class Jewish family. He entered into a private all-boys secondary school known as a gymnasium, a secondary school that prepares students for the university. In 1913, he entered Moscow University through lottery. In December of 1917, he graduated from Moscow University with a degree in law. These are some interesting facts about Lev Vygotsky and his background. Okay, Vygotsky completed 270 scientific articles, numerous lectures, and 10 books based on a wide range of Marxist-based psychological and teaching theories. He died on June 10, 1934, at the young age of 37 after a long battle with TB. Vygotsky's work did not become known in the West until 1958 and was not published there until 1962. Hi, my name is Brittany Thompson, and today's lesson will be about social interaction according to Lev Vygotsky. Alrighty, let's start off with a little background knowledge about Lev Vygotsky. He was also known as the Mozart of psychology. He was born in 1896, the same year as Piaget, in a small Russian town in Orsha. He was also born into a middle-class Jewish family. He entered into a private all-boys secondary school known as the Gymnasium and secondary school that prepares students for the university. He entered Moscow University through lottery in 1913, and he also graduated with his degree in law in December of 1917. These are some awesome facts about Lev Vygotsky. Now, when I think about social interaction, especially in children, I think about how children are born into the world, and sometimes social interaction skills or social development skills in children, it can be naturally learned, or it should come quite naturally. Hi, my name is Brittany Thompson, and today's lesson that I will be teaching will be about social interaction according to Lev Vygotsky. Let's start out with a little background knowledge about Lev Vygotsky. He was born in 1896, the same year as Piaget, which I thought was pretty cool, in the small town of Orsha. He was also called the Mozart of psychology. He was born into a middle-class Jewish family, and he also entered a private all-boys secondary school known as Gymnasium, a secondary school that prepared students for the university. In 1913, he entered Moscow University through lottery. In December of 1917, he graduated from Moscow University with a degree in law. Vygotsky completed 270 scientific articles, numerous lectures, and 10 books based on a wide range of Marxist-based psychological and teaching theories. Unfortunately, he died on June 10, 1913, at a young age of 37 after a long battle with TB. Vygotsky's work did not become known in the West until 1958, and it was not published there until 1962. Now let's get into the socio-cultural theory. It did not focus on the individual child, but on the child as a product of social interaction, especially with adults, parents, and teachers. My very first thoughts on social interaction, normally, our first thoughts, especially when it comes down to children, is that social interaction skills are developed quite naturally. But it can be easily moved from depending on adults creating or sustaining their own interaction with others, and what children learn from either their parents, peers, or anything, that can influence their social interaction skills. But according to Lev Vygotsky, he focused on the dyadic interaction, and that's pretty much when children are being taught by a parent how to perform some culturally specific actions rather than the child by himself. So most of the times you can definitely say that children's social interaction skills are definitely influenced. Social world mediates children cognitive development. Cognitive development occurs as children thinking is molded by society in the form of parents, teachers, and peers. This leads to peer tutoring as a strategy in classrooms. I can definitely agree with this. I recently did one of my papers, or I just completed one of my studies based on how children can learn from each other, or children can be, motivated more or eager to learn, based off their interactions with their peers. So I can definitely say that peers, children and their peers, they really do influence one another. And another thing, according to social cultural theory, people thinking differ dramatically between cultures because different cultures stress different things. And I think it is very important, especially in the classroom, for teachers to express to children that we must respect everyone's culture. I just like this week we were actually, me and my class, my first grade student, we were reading a book about deaf people, like a little girl who was deaf, and her family, on her all of her mom's side of her family, they were pretty much deaf too. And one of my students, they began to laugh, but normally that would be some children's natural reaction. And I just told them, I always teach and tell them that it is so important to respect everyone's culture and everyone, because everyone is different. And I think that it's so important for children to learn that at a very tender age, that everyone isn't the same. That everyone isn't the same. Everyone, everyone's culture symbolizes, things differently. So I think that it's very important that children learn that at a very young age. Now we can get into the theory, principles, and concepts. Children construct their knowledge, and what that means is knowledge is not transferred passively, but is personally constructed. The learning is mediated. Cognitive development is not a direct result of activity, but it is indirect. Other people must interact with the learner, use mediatory tools to facilitate the learning process, and then cognitive development may occur. And now, according to language plays a central role in mental development, the most significant socio-cultural tool is language, as it is used to teach tool used as a vital in the process of developing higher psychological functions. I think that it's pretty cool that in Vygotsky's theory it discussed how learning appears twice. And what that means is first on the social level, and later on the individual level. First between people, enter psychology in the inside of the child, intra psychology. Develop cannot be separated from its social content. The content needed for learning is that whether learners can interact with each other, they use new tools. This means that the learning environment must be authentic. That is, it must contain the type of people who will use these type of tools, such as concept, language, symbols, in a natural way. Now, it is very important that teachers, especially in the classroom, that we think about our the type of learners that we have, the learning styles of our class of our students, the learning style of our students, which is very important, especially if we want to develop social interaction skills, and those skills can also be enhanced and developed with using collaborative strategies. collaborative strategies are very important. To get the students, they're asked questions, higher order thinking questions. As it could be in the middle of a lesson, it can be during literacy circles, and during that time, the students are actually able to interact with one another and develop better social skills. Now we can talk about the zone of proximal development. That's also abbreviated as ZPD. Now we can talk about the zone of proximal development, which is also known as ZPD. The difference between what a child can do independently and what a child need help from a more knowledgeable person to do is the children pretty much interact with different things or can develop the ability to work independently depending on the type of work that they're into or their interests. For example, a student may struggle with one assignment that's, for example, a student can struggle. For example, a student can struggle with an assignment that will require him or her to work independently in a quiet environment, just with, we can say, a writing activity. But just say, for instance, if we make it more fun and engaging, or the kid would, or the child would think that they're playing a game, they can actually work independently or, show more interest in that type of skill. Now, you have some children that can be presented with something that they've never saw, or an assignment, or not even necessarily schoolwork, but just a task. It can be a game that they never played before. Now, with the zone, with the ZPD ability, a child can use that region by playing that same game with someone who is familiar with how to play it, and they will develop the ability to be able to ask that person for help and begin learning that new game or skill. And without that help, the child wouldn't be able to complete that skill or um, play the game or the assignment. Now, there are four different stages of the ZPD model. Now, in stage one, assistance from a more knowledgeable other. It can be a peer or an adult. In stage two, assistance from self. That's prior knowledge and research that the child or a person may be able to develop on their own. Stage three, optimization. That's the practice of trial and error. In many of these different stages, we've all gone through it without knowing the research and theoretical approach behind it. And in stage four, the de-automation, that's providing explanation to others. So we can, from stage one to four, in zone, in stage one, you need a that's when you need assistance from someone, and you're unable to complete a task, skill, or game alone on your own. In stage two, you may be able to complete the task based on your prior knowledge and research. In stage three, you can try to do a task that you never done before, and it would be trial and error, which that's something that I did a lot, with different businesses that I own.